Welcome back to Healthy Living. Our guest, Bethany Monistere, she is a registered nurse and she's also a manager of our trauma services. So thank you so much for being with us, Bethany, today.
Thank you.
Tell people a little bit about what you do at St. Tammany Health System.
So at St. Tammany Health System, I wear a couple of hats. So I am the manager of our trauma services, which includes injury prevention, community outreach, making sure that we meet the standards for the American College of Surgeons to be a certified, verified trauma center. And we work with the state and the region on all of those things: community outreach, injury prevention, and becoming a trauma center to be able to take care of those traumatic injuries that happen.
Okay.
Not always bad traumatic injuries, but you know, a broken bone is trauma. So a lot of people don't understand that something that seems minor is trauma. If it's not a medical issue, it's most of the time trauma.
And we should let folks know you just completed the recertification.
We did.
Very successfully with flying colors.
We
So
did.
congratulations
Thank
for that.
you.
So we're talking in kind of in the vein of back to school.
Yes.
Lots more kids playing sports, vehicles on the road, teenage drivers. There's a lot of things that ramp up as soon as the school year starts. So you teach a course called Stop the Bleed.
Yes.
And this class is open to the public. As a health system, can you tell us why we brought Stop the Bleed in? Why do we teach the class?
So as a trauma center, you really want to focus your top 3 mechanisms of injury, so the reasons for injury, and do community outreach and injury prevention on those 3. Mm-hmm. We are always there, but we don't want more patients. We don't want anyone to get injured. So our number 1 reason for injuries is falls with our geriatric population, but then very close to that is mechanical injuries that cause life-threatening bleeding, which is very dangerous because it's the number 1 cause of a preventable death from 0 to 45 is trauma. Mm-hmm. And then bleeding is one of the highest things that can happen to cause death, which there's so many small things that we can do to prevent hemorrhage. And Stop the Bleed was made by the Hartford Consensus with the American College of Surgeons, the Committee on Trauma, our military,
right.
Lots of coordination to bring this program to the public for anyone.
So you said mechanical injury. What's an example of a mechanical injury?
So being in a rural setting, we get a lot of injuries with farm animals, house animals too. A lot of it sounds really bad, but when you accidentally close your hand in a door, yeah, or any of those, it's any kind of force, a blunt force, and it can be a penetrating injury. We see a lot of construction injuries and things of that nature, but with school ramping up, bicycle and car accidents happen a lot.
Yeah.
But sports injuries happen,
yeah,
and those are very common, especially with the sports ramping back up because of school.
Sure.
Lots of the distracted driving with car injuries, accidents that do happen. We don't call them accidents, we call them collisions, because we want those to not happen. But there's so many things. Kitchen accidents happen.
Sure.
Those I will call accidents because
it's usually not on purpose, and you're not usually distracted. It's just something goes wrong.
Exactly. There's plenty of things that can cause bleeding,
yeah,
and we want people to understand it's a very simple, common thing that can happen, and we want people to understand what to do if it becomes a life-threatening bleed.
Yeah, so give us some examples of what you would learn in the course.
So very simple. There are 3 main things that we teach about. Pressure, which is what most people will do, even if you get a paper cut, you squeeze your finger.
Right.
Pressure, packing, and then tourniquets.
Okay.
Those are the 3 skills that we go over. We have an in-depth class that we teach, and there's also an online version, and then you can come in and do a skills version where we get to put your hands on all of the materials and the goodies that we have.
Right. So show us some of your goodies.
So this is a Stop the Bleed kit, as well as this one. They look a little different. And one's vacuum sealed, and then one is just a fancy zip pouch. But most of your Stop the Bleed kits come with a cat tourniquet, some bleeding control gauze that it has a little stretch to it, and some Velcro so you can do a compression bandage, some regular gauze, gloves, because we do want to maintain our safety when we're touching other people's bodily fluids.
Right.
A survival blanket. I know it's 100 degrees outside, but when people bleed, if they bleed a lot, they get really cold.
Right.
And when you're cold, your blood doesn't clump together like it's supposed to. So if you are bleeding a lot, we need to make sure that we can maintain your normal body temperature. So we have that. And they come with Sharpies, and what I always like to tell people is it's okay if you come to our class and you forget everything that we teach you, because every single kit comes with instructions.
Oh, wow.
And this is my personal kit, so it does, I show a lot of people, it may be falling apart, but it's totally fine because I can still open it and know what to do.
Right.
And they come with a pair of trauma shears.
Gotcha.
So most kits are built the same, but it's very important to understand when you do have to use a tourniquet. Not everybody's put their hands on a tourniquet before.
Right.
And that's what we like to do with the public is we let everyone touch the tourniquets and practice putting it on themselves, because you can put a tourniquet on yourself as well as help someone else. And it's really important to see the different types of tourniquets and be able to put your hands on it and know how it works. Because
and when you need to use it.
And when you, yes, definitely. I never touched one. I've been a nurse for quite some time, and as a nurse, we don't need this when we're in the hospital, because we have so many other things that we can use. So I didn't know how to use it, and I started playing with one. And when I took my first class in 2018, I started learning how to put them on, and now I can probably put one on with my eyes closed. But I think it's very important to have that hands-on skill for anyone. Yeah,
to learn what you need and when you need to use it. So how old do you have to be to take the class?
So I have taught as young as 8 years old.
Okay.
If parents feel that their child is old enough to understand what all of the stuff entails, and they're okay with hearing some nasty, gruesome stuff. Not every child is okay with that. I know mine is, she's taken the class, but she was 16 when she took it.
Right.
And that's fine, but you know, we've taught out in the schools before, and I had an 8-year-old. He was very, very enthusiastic about the class, and the second his mom walked in, he said, Mom, we need to get a kit.
Yes.
We need to get a kit. So it's if you know your children. Mm-hmm. So if you feel like your child is able to sit through a class and absorb this information, let them take it. I'm open to teaching anyone. We've had some younger students that, you know, they know what this stuff is, mm-hmm. And they teach the basic safety stuff at our parenting center. So they have a couple of classes at the parenting center for the younger age.
Sure.
But for this, if you feel like your child can actually handle doing something like this, then there is no age limit.
Okay, and we offer these classes free at St. Tammany Health System. You can go to our website. I'm thinking Boy Scouts. What a great thing for Boy Scouts to learn. If you have kids that like to do camping, if you have kids that do sports, parents, and you know, it's a good thing for them too. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up? Yeah,
so our legislation actually passed the School Safety Act this session, and it's Act 334, and this is basically saying that elementary and secondary education is now going to be required to have some sort of kit in the school.
Oh, good.
Whether it's a kit like this or they can make a kit, the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education are developing the actual rules behind it, but now they're going to say that we need to have these kits in our schools, which it is very important to have these kits. If you have a resource officer in your school, they have tourniquets already, and they are very well trained on how to use them. We never want to have to use these in our schools, but
Right.
I think it's better to be prepared for something like this than to not be prepared.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Bethany.
You're welcome.
Excellent information. We are looking forward to sharing it. And thank you for joining us for this episode of Healthy Living. We'll see you next time.